Hello. I'm going to show now how to make meatballs my way. I'm doing this primarily for my daughter, who's asked me, Dad, how do you make the meatballs you always made for me when I was a little girl? I only ever make this once a year, and the reason I make it only once a year is you need that sort of volume of parsley. If you'd buy that in the supermarket, it would cost you a fortune. But for 40p, you can plant a little row out in your garden, and at this time of year, you've got tons of it. So this is the time I make it. In a moment, I'm going to scroll up all the ingredients on the screen for you. But basically, it is about a pound of mince, 500 grams if you want a European, a couple of onions, one large one or two small ones. The toast I'll cover in a minute. 2 eggs, some chopped tomatoes, some herbs, Worcester sauce, tomato puree, chicken stock, and here we've got flour, about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half full of flour, with some ground black pepper, some salt, and basically you just mix those together. This is going to be what meatballs are going to be dipped in before they get fried. So just do that with this whisker. You put as much salt and pepper in as you like. You don't even have to put any in if you don't want. That's absolutely fine. That'll be absolutely great. All chefs will tell you that you have a broad blade knife, very, very sharp. The knife that will cut you won't be a sharp knife, it'll be a blunt knife, because you'll be pushing too hard, you'll slip and you'll cut yourself. With a sharp knife you don't have to. You hold the onion like this, and you hold your fingers like that. So if you slip the knife, they run down off your fingernails, hopefully. Hold your hand like that, you're likely to chop your fingers off. So you hold it like that and you use your knife as pivot. What you do is you pivot down like this. Reassemble all the pieces as best you can. Normally I do it better than this. Turn it the other way around, and again pivot in your knife so you're not unlikely to slip. You chop your onions nice and finely. Professional chefs do it an awful lot faster, as you've seen on TV. I reckon they speed it up, but there you go. And then you do the same for the second. There's the onions all nice and finely chopped. We're going to use half in the mix and half in the sauce. You may be asking why a lightly toasted bread. We need some breadcrumbs for this. You can go out and buy an expensive packet of breadcrumbs in a little tub, all painted orange, or just take 2 pieces of bread, just any old bread, it doesn't really matter, thick, whatever, and just lightly toast it, let it go cold and let it go dry. That's what you want. And what you do, get yourself a liquidizer, chop the bread up into the liquidizer, if you've got stale bread, that will be perfectly fine. This is a cheat way of making bread stale by toasting it. You can cut the crusts off if you want, doesn't really matter. Put the lid on, and now liquidize. You'll find that sometimes you have to shake the thing to make it all work. awful lot cheaper than paying the supermarket for it. The third thing we need to prepare, ready for this, is the parsley. As I said earlier on, you need, for my particular recipe, you need loads of parsley. That's what gives it the special flavour that you wouldn't normally get. Now in chopping this, you can do it one of two ways. You can either take the standard Le Saboteur cook's knife, chef's knife, and chop it using that process. Or if you're lazy like me, you can buy one of these things. Places like Debenham sell them. Got loads and loads and loads of sharp blades on it, and that will shred it like mad. Basically, go on, shred the parsley up until it's all nice and fine. That's about the consistency that you want. Nice and fine without being too wrecked. Bit of a pain to wash, but never mind, saves you hours and hours of preparation. It's turned into just that much. So it's not as much as you think it would be. But that will give all the flavour to this meal. That is key to it. That's why you need it. You can do meatballs any time of year you like. It will not taste the same without having large amounts of parsley. Next stage of the process, you need, as I said earlier on, about a pound of mince, a large mixing bowl. About half the onions. I'll do nicely. You need the breadcrumbs, parsley, and 2 beaten eggs. They're just cracked at the moment. All you need to do to beat them is take a fork, and that's enough. If you don't want to have used a whisk, that'll be absolutely fine. The whole idea of this is the binding. This will bind the meatballs together so they don't fall apart while you're cooking them. Put them together like that. And now comes the messy bits. I've just previously washed my hands, so they're clean. I'll take the wash off. For kids, if you've got kids and they're helping you with the cooking, this is brilliant because all this squidgy stuff they absolutely love. You've got to squidge it all together. One homogeneous mess. Breadcrumbs help bulk it. The onions add to the flavour. Parsley certainly adds to the flavour. You squeeze it through your fingernails till you feel that it's all mixed. Some people like the onions a bit coarse like that, some people like them nice and fine. It's up to you, it's your choice in making this. Once that's done, what we've got to do is we've got to turn this into little meatballs, and we're going to do it by putting them into the seasoned flour and then transfer them to another plate which I've got here ready. You can decide what size you want your meatballs to be. But the size of a golf ball I normally go for. Just roll it in your hands like that. That's what they look like. Roll them in the seasoned flour. Transfer them to a plate. Down the process again. Squeeze them together nice and tight. Roll them in the seasoned flour. You repeat this process for all of them. I'm not going to bore you with watching me do it, So we'll cut to the next. There they are, all made. They look nice. I hope they taste nice. Next stage is we're going to just lightly cook them. There's whatever you want. You can put dripping in. You can put this is oil, ghee, whatever you want. Just some in the pan, because we're going to lightly brown them over to make them seal and transfer them to that little plate. So I'll turn the cooker on. You need for this, you need a nice heavy pan. Cast iron, or in this case it's aluminium, but it's coated. You need something heavy. Fry them in, depending on the size of the pan you've got, you can fry them either in batches or all together. I'm going to fry them in batches because it's going to be a lot easier. It's a case of turn them over, get them browned, transfer them to plates, then we're going to make the sauce. You can cut now if you want. As it all gets hot, just move them around the pan. Start to turn them. These are very, very useful way of doing it. As you can see, start in the brown. So we'll do this all over. We'll do the same for the remaining ones. We'll transform them over to there, and we will produce tomato sauce this goes with. You don't have to do tomato sauce, you could do any sauce you like, it doesn't really matter. This one tends to lend itself to a tomato sauce. And you can serve it with whatever you like. You can serve it with rice, you can serve it with potatoes and green veg, you can serve it with what I normally do, spaghetti. So you've got spaghetti and meatballs. So keep on turning them. So they're nice and evenly browned all over. That's basically it, and nicely browned, turned over, great. Now just a case of doing the rest and making the sauce. Nicely browned. All you're doing at this point is sealing them in, ready for the next part of the cooking process. Any of the remaining flour you're going to add with the onions, with the stocks, with the tomatoes. It's your choice whether you want mixed herbs in or not. I always add this to when I cook in Liam Perrin's Worcester sauce. It just adds a little bit of zing. So we're going to start that process. Onions in first. Get them cooking. We want these to be glacé. That means we want them to start looking slightly transparent. We don't want them brown. There are already a few little brown ones in there that have come off the meatballs. This is on quite a low heat at the moment. Doesn't need to be boiling hot. You don't want it to burn and stick. So give that a few more seconds. It's starting to look nice. Having a thick pan also helps in the fact that it retains the heat. So if you've had it on hot, you turn it down to cool, it will remain hot for a while. You have to be aware of that when you're doing your cooking. This is totally non-stick. Wooden implements please, always, not metal implements. Metal ones will scrape off the non-stick coating. If it's aluminium pan, they'll scrape off the aluminium. If it's cast iron, they'll wreck the cast iron coating that's on it. And as long as you wash them well, you'll be absolutely fine. So the next part of it is we're going to add the flour. And we're going to fry it. Chefs will tell you this is making a roux. What happens is, flour's made of starch. When you cook the flour, all the starch grains burst. That's why you should cook it. And when they burst, and you add other liquids to it, then you can make a sauce out of it. Depending on the type of sauce you want to make, depends on what it looks like. If you want a really clear sauce, you need to use something called arrowroot. This is just normal, strong white flour, yeah, because I don't need to have it transparent. When to stop cooking is a matter of conjecture, but one thing that seems to work for me is when you're adding the rest of the ingredients, add them off the heat, and it does help an awful lot if the stock is cool, not hot. Otherwise you'll end up with a lumpy sauce. I think that's probably about right. I'll take it off the heat. I'm going to add chopped tomatoes. Bring it back to the heat. I'm going to be careful here because it will start to thicken, so I want to make sure I don't get lumps. Chopped tomatoes are cold, they take the temperature down quite a lot. I'll turn up the heat a little. Start those going. Start to thicken, you can see that. So we'll start adding the stock. A little at a time. With a stir. The stock is also cool. At this point it's your choice, totally your choice in what you want to add. I usually add in a very good sprinkling of dried mixed herbs. Looks like I've put a lot in there. Because they're dried, the flavour isn't as intense as if I've used fresh herbs out of the garden. A dash of Worcester sauce. Adds to the flavour. This is tomato puree. More or less it adds to the colour more than the flavour, but a nice, you can use a little small tin of it or a good squeeze out of the tube. Just makes it look a bit better, really. See, the colour's coming up a bit now, that's a little bit better than it was. This is actually here sea salt. Season as much as you want or as little as you want. Totally up to you. That is sea salt. And I'll add in a little touch of freshly ground black pepper. Other little tricks you can do. Tomato ketchup. That works wonders. Top restaurants in London, the chefs often use tomato ketchup in their recipes. You don't know anything about it, but it can half improve the flavour. Sugar's another one as well. If you taste it and it's feeling a bit too sour. A tablespoon of sugar, it works absolute wonders. Now that's about the right consistency. That is lovely for a sauce, that is brilliant. At this point what we do, we transfer meatballs in, turn it right down, transfer the meatballs in, put a cover on it, and we simmer it for around about 30 minutes. I'll just transfer them in, and we'll go away and come back in about 30 minutes. During that process, it's a good idea to turn them over and baste them with the sauce. It does help. So that's it. Lid on. Turn occasionally, and about 30 minutes of cooking time at a really, really nice low heat. I've cooked some spaghetti. You can serve this with whatever you like. It goes well with rice, it goes well with potatoes and vegetables. It doesn't matter what you want. Meatballs are all sitting there, all nicely cooked. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to serve this up with some freshly boiled spaghetti. We'll stick that onto a plate. So, now I'm going to take 2 meatballs, is absolutely plenty. I'll take 1 meatball, 2 meatballs, spoon a little of the sauce over the top, that should be enough. And then, just to finish it off, a nice sprinkling of Parmesan cheese. Voila! Meatballs and spaghetti.